Now the rain is gone. Hello.
Hello. Is that how we're starting the podcast? I can see clearly.
We start the podcast
I can't see
however
clearly.
it starts.
You know how I can see right now? I see smoke in the air, and it's dangerous out there.
I see fire and I see rain.
Oh, God, no.
Ed Sheeran.
Who knew that James Taylor was predicting the apocalypse for us in 2020?
Mm-hmm.
No rain yet, though, so not there. Anyway, how are you?
I'm doing okay. We had ants in our sink, so that's bothering me.
Well.
But we're handling it.
It's fine. Also,
the smoke is annoying.
Welcome back to Magical Theory. Prof. Lynette was like, I'm taking a month off. But now we're back.
Fine with me.
Yeah.
It's been a smoky month.
Yeah,
it's been
I
a
feel
hot
like
month.
This is the first Sunday that I still feel it, like the smokiness in my throat or like breathing in, but it's the first Sunday that I feel like I'm not exhausted or have a headache or...
Hey.
Yeah.
Since school started?
Since school
This is great news.
Oh, yeah. I guess it must have been like the prep up to school and then school starting. And I still have to record for one of my asynchronous classes, but I've taught this class before, so I'm not like super
This is
stressed
great
about
news.
it.
I'm very happy to hear this.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm happy too.
Do you just want to dive in? It's been a little while.
Yeah,
I feel like
I had to glance at the last couple of pages to remind myself that we left off with the fat lady being attacked, and that was where we left off, and now we're in a new chapter, so you can start us off. Oh, wait.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Juan's
ready. Turn to page 162, Grim Defeat. Today's lesson is called Nowhere to be Found. Brief synopsis. The chapter begins with the lockdown of the school as the search for Sirius Black commences. Harry overhears Snape accusing someone of helping Black from inside Hogwarts, while Dumbledore dismisses him. The Gryffindors prepare for Quidditch, while McGee worries about Harry's safety. Sir Cadogan has taken over guarding the common room, and everyone is on alert for Sirius Black. Lupin is suddenly absent from teaching, and Professor Snape takes over and belittles the quality of their education. Finally, the Quidditch match against Hufflepuff begins, and in inclement weather, Harry is attacked by Dementors while pursuing the snitch. He passes out and wakes up to find that Gryffindor have lost their match.
This is a completely random note, but we've had like a trivia question these past couple of times about Hannah Abbott and which house she's in. And in this chapter, it mentions Hannah Abbott is in Hufflepuff. I don't know what point that serves this chapter, but it made me wonder if there was a reference to Hannah Abbott being in Hufflepuff in book 2, because obviously we know that she's sorted into Hufflepuff.
You're telling me it's an Easter egg
I
that
feel
Hannah
like
Abbott
it
in.
must be. I don't know. I want to search for it.
Hannah Abbott, Hufflepuff
Hufflepuff student.
Also, we've now heard about Cedric Diggory.
Oh, and how the girls think he's dreamy. The handsome
Cedric.
one. And Oliver just gets real pissed about that.
Yeah.
He's like, this is serious business, people. Take
Murder.
it seriously. And Fred or George is like, okay, it is serious. We are taking this seriously.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Where do you want to start?
I have no idea where to start. So there's, I started my notes thinking about Hermione. Hermione pops up in a relatable fashion to me in this chapter a lot. And so the beginning is like everyone's spouting their theories about how Sirius Black could have gotten into Hogwarts or, crossed into the school. And so everyone's like spouting their theories, and she's just like, has anyone read Hogwarts: A History? And it just made me laugh a lot because it reminds me of current dynamics.
You can't just aberrate in here.
Well, current dynamics where people just basically say what they want and it doesn't matter what they say, and they're just like, oh, maybe he did this, and Hermione's like, okay, clearly nobody read anything, and it just made me laugh a lot of her, having to inform. And also along those lines of Hermione knowing stuff that people don't know, Snape is real bad in this chapter. Like, unnecessary. I mean, most of the time, Snape is just unnecessary in the ways that he interacts with children. But she's just trying to help. She's just trying to like get answers out, and he's just like deducting.
I was
points
merely
away.
commenting on the disorganization.
So like,
Says that at some point.
did this happen before? I'm trying to remember if this happened in potions class, because I had massive deja vu where I was like, what is this? Like, what is, like, he's all mad because people are critiquing his quote unquote teaching style. And I'm like, but you're not doing anything. You're just like complaining and going off, and people are trying to contribute and participate in the learning process. And you're like, oh, Hermione, you get points taken away because you just have to know everything.
Yeah, I actually think in general the movies do a big disservice to this, because I think they portray Snape in a comedic light very frequently. I think they were uncomfortable with how abusive he is.
He's very abusive. Yeah.
He's terrible.
Yeah. So like,
And I actually think it accounts for some of why fans like Snape,
yeah,
and think he's redeemed, because they think, oh, it's, you know, he's
Well,
like,
because
he's got their
you
best
don't
interest
see-
in
yeah, you
heart,
don't
like
see,
just
like-
focus and no.
Yeah, so like the famous line of
No.
turn to page 394 is in this chapter.
That's what I'm thinking about,
Yeah,
right? Because
yeah.
it's supposed to be like a comedy thing, right?
Yeah, no, but
Because then like Ron's going really slow, and that's not how
Yeah,
it goes at
no.
all.
he's like
Yep.
verbally berating them and just finally like, okay, turn to page 394. I loved though, so there's this one paragraph where Snape calls Hermione an insufferable know-it-all, which I believe also comes out in the movie, but not in the same context because we don't see all these like other little things that happen. And it says, Hermione went very red, put down her hand, and stared at the floor with her eyes full of tears. It was a mark of how much the class loathed Snape that they were all glaring at him because every one of them had called Hermione a know-it-all at least once. And Ron, who told Hermione she was a know-it-all at least twice a week, said loudly, "You asked us a question and she knows the answer. Why ask if you don't want to be told?" And I love Ron in that moment, even though he just straight up gets attention. But like, come on. He's saying what everyone's thinking. Like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, Hermione in and of herself is such a sad reflection of how people treat people who know things.
Yeah. What made me sad in this instance, though.
How frequently is she wrong? Almost never. She
But
actually
in this
knows.
instance, though, it's not her like trying to like please the teacher or show off. She's literally doing this, and this is why it was relatable to me, is that she's literally doing this as a like form of not necessarily sacrifice, but like she's trying to help everyone out because she doesn't want people to be in trouble. She doesn't want this like nonsense to keep going on where Snape is like commenting on Lupin. I don't think she knows that she's making it worse, but she's just trying to help. And it's not, or the way I was reading it, it's not in service of
There's
herself.
nothing to help because Snape
Yeah.
has the biggest axe to grind, and he's never going to not do it.
Yeah.
Snape is such a child. It's ridiculous. I'm, in this moment, frustrated with the fact that I've ever heard people apologize for Snape because he just, no, I don't buy it. You know?
Yeah.
I'm not going to discount the things that he does that are good, but I'm not going to ignore that he's absolutely horrible
Yeah.
in just about every scene.
I have a question for this chapter and for people who are listening or watching. What do you think Ron called Snape in the bleeped out sentence? Do you know what that blank is making me do?
Difficult to say.
Use your imaginations. All right. Next up is about Quidditch, which I'm sure you probably did some research into.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, so I was like caught off guard by the timeout. I was like just thinking about the rules and how it actually works and whatnot. So I looked up some rules.
Yeah.
Not the fouls, because there's like a ton of way to foul, but like just kind of the baseline rules. Also, I read some history of Quidditch, which was really quite fun.
Yeah.
But I didn't put all that in here. So let's see. In 1750, the British Ministry of Magic set down official rules for the game of Quidditch. Players must not stray over the boundary lines of the pitch, although they may fly as high as desired. The quaffle must be surrendered to the opposition if any player leaves the boundary. It is unknown what the penalty is if a player on defense leaves the pitch.
Yeah, I feel like we read some of these in the first book when Harry joins the Quidditch
Well,
team.
I've forgotten, so
Yeah.
bear me up. Timeout may be called at any time by the captain of a team. Timeout may be extended to 2 hours if a game has already lasted for more than 12 hours.
Mm-hmm.
A failure to return to the pitch after the time will lead to the team being disqualified. Penalties can be awarded to teams by the referee. A single chaser may take the penalty by flying from the central circle toward the scoring area. The opposing team's keeper may attempt to stop the shot being scored, but all other players must not interfere. It is unknown if the seeker may still attempt to catch the snitch while a penalty is being attempted. Contact is allowed, but a player may not seize hold of another player's broomstick or any part of their anatomy. No substitution of players is allowed throughout the game, even if a player is too injured or tired to continue to play. According to the Goblet of Fire, book still yet to come, during the Quidditch World Cup at some point it lasted for days, and the players had to be switched out so that they could sleep, which is hilarious. This is a relevant one. Players may take their wands onto the pitch, but they must not be used on or against any players, broomsticks, the referee, any of the four balls, or the spectators. So what Hermione does to the glasses is seemingly not against the rules.
That was one of my questions. What is legal magic to use for Quidditch matches? And so my reasoning was, it doesn't seem that something like using impervious on the glasses is cheating because, I mean, first of all, Harry could have worn contacts or something else. It was just for him to see. It wasn't like to make him a better, I mean, I guess you could perform better if you could see actually rather than just being blinded by everything. The other question I had, although I didn't find much online and I don't know if you found more, was when is a Quidditch match canceled? I only saw one instance, and it was from Book 2 in Chamber of Secrets, and it was after Hermione and Penelope were petrified, and then they canceled a Quidditch match, but otherwise, and that's why Harry's kind of like, yeah, it's not going to get canceled, even though it's crazy weather outside right now.
Couple more?
Yeah.
Okay. A game of Quidditch will only end once the golden snitch has been caught, or at the mutual consent of both team captains, which I found really interesting. Only the keeper can block quaffle shots thrown by the opposing team.
Is Cedric the captain as well, or is he just
I don't think
seeker?
so. I'm not sure. He might be. An amendment to the rules of Quidditch in 1849 determined that if a member of the crowd cast any spell on a player, their team would automatically forfeit the match, whether or not the team ordered or approved of the magic performed. A comment, because this was my first thought as well, is that it's not clear how this is enforced, though, as taken literally, the rule would make it very easy to sabotage an opposing team.
Well, I was just thinking about Quirrell. Like, Quirrell's not rooting for any team. He's just trying to kill Harry Potter.
Well, you'd have to know that magic is being cast, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that was so. There's a lot of questions that I have about the Wizarding World, which I feel like if you had magic, then you probably wouldn't use it all the time. I don't know, because I was thinking like they are magical people. They can just like, I don't know, cast like a little invisible umbrella over the stadium so that
we
it's
have
not pouring,
roof stadiums.
Well, because I would imagine that you probably wouldn't want an enclosed arena for a Quidditch stadium, but at the same time, like in terms of protecting from weather or whatever, or dealing with it, like then my mind was like, well, couldn't they do stuff with the weather?
Yeah, I love the idea of the snitch, like the game starting, and the snitch, like if nobody saw it, it just flew straight up forever. Would they ever find it, you know? Or is there some kind of spherical top or something? But yeah, that's all I had.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Quidditch is fine. I feel like it's always a bit of a plot device, right? So like you have the Dementors here.
Well, I mean, speaking of, I thought that Grim Defeat was a perfect title for this chapter, just because, and I don't know, I don't know. I feel like as I'm reflecting on these chapters, they feel dark to me from a literal, it's just like a subtle depression, I guess, like for lack of a better word, and which I think fits with this idea of the Dementors, and things are just kind of like low, and we're talking about the Grim over and over, but nothing really has
Grim
happened.
folly.
Nothing has happened, but it just has that like lingering in the background where it just feels dark. It just feels kind of solemn, I guess, is like maybe another word.
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess like Sirius kind of casts a pall, but also Lupin's absence is really noteworthy. I mean, obviously it's pointed out in the chapter, but it's just kind of like he starts off like so good and things are going well, and then all of a sudden he's gone, and it's kind of interesting. Replaced by Snape, which is always a mood swing.
Yeah. I don't know. The Dementors are really just kind of like taking over. And Dumbledore is mad. He is mad about the Dementors. Mad. I want to know
Looks
what
like
he
said.
He
cast Arresto Momentum, and he also cast Expecto Patronum, which it seems like we'll learn.
It was interesting that... Okay, it was interesting, though, that the kids were all like... Unless they were also... Everyone was just deeply affected by the Dementors. They were all just like, oh, Harry, you fell like 50 feet. We thought you were dead.
I don't think they were affected by them very much, no. Because my view of it was that he was pretty high up.
Yeah, and also I guess the point of going back to the cart where Harry was more affected. Harry and Ginny were more affected than the other
Right, because Cedric is not as affected as Harry, despite being quite near him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was not... Well, I'll take this. I was going to say I was not a big fan of this, like, you see the Grim in the clouds thing. But I like it from this perspective. If like it's like any cloud vision or whatever, where like you just make it whatever your feeling is, you project it onto it. Like, oh, look at that cloud, like it looks like death, you know. So it's kind of an interesting thing, right? Because like this kind of goes back to Trelawney and divination in general of how much is projection and how much is actual magic here. Like the fact that somebody could predict things versus somebody could just like project.
Yeah, with Harry it's a little complicated because he is obviously being affected by something, because this is another time where he's hearing the screaming and he's kind of like and there's more. You see like a little bit more from this scene, right. And he's just kind of, his reaction is like, I need to save her. And immediately I immediately thought about Ginny, because he literally just had this last year with the Chamber of Secrets, and it was this wild adventure, and he had to save his friend, and she was like taken and trapped. And so that's where my mind went. And for Harry, like the Grim, even though like I would say yes, there's probably projection. Like if Trelawney didn't do that little teacup thing and said to him like, "Oh, the Grim," I think that definitely helps, like with the connection being strong, for him to lean into, oh hey, there it is again, or like there's this imagery, and the fact that these like things are happening to him and it's real. So it's like a little messy, but it's also I think amplified by that whole tea leaf reading that we had.
It is. This is an interesting chapter for us to get back into the podcast, because it's one where like a lot is happening and also not that much is happening, where it's like a lot has happened but we don't have any real explanation. Like, oh, the Dementor's just dementoring, and then like Sirius is missing and Lupin is missing, and so like we don't have answers. Yeah. We just have setups here. And
we'll revisit this later, but the fact that Snape's guest teaching was how to spot and kill a werewolf, like, oh goodness, Snape, you have some issues. I mean,
yeah, it was another one where I was like, I wish I could go back and not know. Yeah. Because I can't remember. I highly doubt that I recognized at this point what we will learn later.
Well, it's very subtle, because it's not like we have a lot of details. We just have these like omissions, like, oh, he's he's
But
getting this
I also think,
potion, or
right.
he's
his
not here.
his
He's not
little
feeling
boggart and like
yeah.
right. So I think it's really interesting because now at this point in my life, I feel like if I was reading it for the first time, I would go slower and kind of appreciate, especially in these early books, that J.K. Rowling is so economical with her word choices. Like anything she's adding it's like Ginny all over again, where it's like, well, why is she even talking about like why this lesson, right? Like Snape is not stupid, like why this, And I always appreciate later on, though we'll get to it, that like one of our characters is like, you guys didn't figure this one out like right away. It's really funny. But
oh man, poor Harry though, his broomstick.
Yep.
Okay, first of all,
the old Whomper.
I know. So like, I play Hogwarts Mystery as well, so I kind of have this like these different layouts or I guess like perspectives of the castle, and so I know where the like floor flying class is and kind of where the Quidditch pitch area is, but why is the Whomping Willow so close? Like why are you so close?
Guess we'll find out.
I guess we'll find out. But it made me laugh because I was just thinking of how close it would have to be for the winds and everything to take it and hit the Whomping Willow.
I've always thought, but I've always thought that like the broomstick is magical, so I feel like
that it was still
it's already
flying.
So like it has this certain magical momentum. That's how I play it out in my mind. It's not like it's like right there. You're like walking to your
that's what I'm imagining.
Seat and it's like
all right, kids, beware. Just don't touch it. Don't
be afraid.
Close.
The sport is fun.
Don't worry. We have Dementors everywhere. It's fine.
Do you have anything else though?
Do I have anything else? No, I don't have anything specific now.
No, me neither.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a good one to get back into. We'll see. We're like, this is like chapter 8 or 9 or 10,
9.
something.
It's 9.
So
yeah, the next chapter is the Marauders map.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
Yeah, so more mystery is more things to come.
Okay, bye.
Until next time.
Wands ready.